propelled him to be a celebrity. Before that, people shared the titles with him of being a celebrity barber, but it was once when you start becoming known by millions that I'm okay with you're you're a celebrity. A large amount of people know who you are. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
anything short of that, um, I can respect notoriety. I respect skill set, etc. Celebrity,
You know, leave,
no,
just go ahead and
no,
kill that.
no.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I definitely have some questions I wanted to ask you, bro. Again, I appreciate your time.
Shoot them up.
The framework in which I was thinking about asking you questions was your past, the present, and the future, right? Past, where you came, how you came up; present, how you see the current state of the industry, and then future, right? Like where are we going? As a visionary, how do you see where this industry is going, right? So give me a
Mhm.
past L that as we bring it to today, right, that feels different. So what was the L in the past?
Um, I had a conversation earlier today with with some of my staff members about mismanagement of money, and
Mm,
we were talking about how in our past there has been times we've mismanaged money because as we're older we're thinking about many things we could have invested into to allow for money to grow, create passive income,
mm,
versus spending money based off of having traumatic experiences in our past. I believe that retail therapy was a thing of the past that at that point in time seemed much bigger and more important. Um, I can language that it was that retail therapy was probably the only form of therapy that was was known to be um, a goal
okay.
that help you overcome some of the challenges. So the idea of purchasing things or purchasing experiences or even purchasing things for the purpose of gaining access to
Mm,
experience and people, um, low value people, when you think
mm,
back,
okay.
um, wasn't in the space of having a high return on investment. But
Okay.
when you think about it from that standpoint, I believe that God is sovereign. I believe that everything happens for a reason and
Sure.
everything happens on timing for a reason. So the benefit that will make it not necessarily be a loss is what mentality you gain from that one as you get older, because you can't have no appreciation for the good without having the experiences of the bad. And there's um, there's a sense of gratitude that becomes higher for smaller things when you've gone through something or some things that cause you to wish that you handle things differently. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah.
just the bad experiences. So I can't point to just one thing, but I can say a collection of decisions uh, and how money was spent at a younger age. Because you got to figure, I'm 42. Been cutting hair for a long time. Started cutting hair in a barbershop in December of '98. Started cutting hair in my grandmom's house in the bedroom at a computer
Okay.
table back in '96.
Yes,
So
sir.
I'm going back some time as I'm reminiscing about some things. And the funny thing is, one of the things that we was reminiscing about that's fresh in my mind was a current client of mine. His name is DJ Active. He's currently the tour DJ for Janet Jackson and a large amount of other headliners. And you may not have known him, but if you watch the TV show The Voice, you've probably
Mm,
seen him in the background. You've seen him
okay.
on different tours. You've seen him in the background. And Jimmy Fallon has a show called That's My Jam. He's the
Hmm.
DJ in the background like
Okay.
this,
All
on
right.
that particular show. But we've met back in 2000, so 23
Mm,
years ago is when we met. And then he came into my barbershop because of a braider that was working. He's seen the experience of how I was working at the time. I was attracted to it and stuck with it ever since. But during that time, I had a large amount of Jamaican clients that were street
mm,
pharmacists. And
okay.
during that time, they would pay an obscene amount of money just to jump the line. And I had, a good 20% of my clients were were those street pharmacists that didn't mind spending, $250 and $300 for haircuts 20 some odd years ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking about what we didn't do. Me and a trader that I was working with at the time, we were talking about what we didn't do with the money. But now that we're wiser, what we are doing, what we have done with money since then, and it's like, man, just imagine what we would have been.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so this is
So
late 90s. This is still late 90s. This time frame,
no, this was early 2000.
the early 2000s. Okay, so
Yeah,
pretty
early
much,
2000.
man.
Early
Yeah, so now
2000.
we're
Yeah.
talking about trying to get $100 haircuts. This was way ahead of that time.
Yeah, yeah. This is before that. I was with some of these guys. What I would do is I would offer a client the ability to get their haircut at the end of the night and give them additional $50 for the inconvenience and still profiting more than $200. And that was
Mm,
during that time.
man, yeah, that's one thing I actually do now. If I can bring it to the day a little bit, um, every barber has booking sites now, right? Online booking.
Mhm.
So I think some of them still do mix in what you just mentioned, like letting clients kind of squeeze in and then just taking, the extra payment for it. But one thing we make sure we do is taking care of the clients on the back end who have to wait extra long. So like actually giving the discount, right? It's one thing saying sorry, but actually like giving some kind of discount to the person that had
Yeah,
to wait
I
extra.
wouldn't I never slighted somebody who was inconvenienced. My position would be, um, if somebody wanted to pay like their way, it included compensating for somebody who was inconvenienced. I thought it was only right.
So
My jokes during that time was I was like, my appointments is like real estate. You got to pay for, you got to buy
for sure.
somebody out in order for you to move in.
Yes,
It
sir.
just like it wasn't like it was empty real estate. Like I wasn't
Yeah,
just sitting around twiddling my thumbs. You were paying for somebody else to move out the way to make room for
for
you.
sure.
So that was what I languaged to those clients at that time. But I'm glad I don't have those style clients anymore.
Mm,
Just based off the energy I was getting access to, and some of the headaches that I had to deal with during that time. Um,
for sure.
Now I deal with a different type of affluent client, but it's a better energy.
Do you even work off of an appointment book currently? Online
Uh,
booking now.
Online booking. During that time, I actually had a big book. There was a scheduling book that I actually would write my appointments in during that time. So I was so very very early in the game. I was hip to scheduling, um, but I was the admin on top of it. Instead of having the online admin, I was the admin. You had to
You what?
call. Yeah, you had to, because you had to. Well, I didn't do appointments the day of. Most of my appointments always filled out prior ahead of time, and then I quickly learned how to incorporate reoccurring appointments to make it easier for my clients. And the rule of thumb was always supply and demand. If I don't have that many slots available, it makes it easier for me to raise my price. So I never had a problem with pricing um, to earn more. I only had a price problem of me actually charging more for the guy working the 9 to 5.
Got
My
you.
heart,
Okay.
because I had a plethora of, you know, I like to call them street pharmacists during that time.
Yeah.
Um, my heart wasn't to try to charge them that much because early in my career, we're talking about doing $20 haircuts.
Yeah, man.
I mean, yeah, early in my career, I was doing $20 haircuts, but like I said, 80% of my client was working class, but 20%, you know, 20% take care of everything. Everything else
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just fun.
Yeah, I have a guy here in Atlanta, Calvin Denson. I believe he's done some work with you before. He owns
Mhm.
his barbershop. Yeah, so we work pretty intimately, bro. He's in downtown Decatur. I'm off of Memorial Drive with my barbershop.
Mhm.
We
That's
talk
my
about
guy.
once or twice a week. Yeah, man, great guy. Went to barber school together and everything. And one thing he mentions is kind of similar to what you said. It was like, though he know his skill set demands a higher price point, he still is locked into the commitment and to the, his heart is in the local community, right? So it's been difficult for him to do price changes, even with the prices for haircuts going up. He's been such a staple in that local community that he's tied into some of those guys who haven't necessarily earned more, but he knows that his value has gone up. So that's kind of where he's kind of battling with
I didn't say
his
this is the
current.
current battle. I said that
Oh
was
yeah,
then.
yeah. I know you
Get
don't
this.
switch it up.
Let's get
Yes,
this.
it's a little different now for sure.
Yeah,
But that's what I'm thinking about. Was just thinking about Calvin and what he's currently going through. But
understood. I
but
make
cool.
sure
So
I
yeah,
follow up with a Methodist.
yeah, great guy, man. He texted me happy birthday too, bro. So yeah, I was doing a little research, right, and looking at some past interviews. I've always watched some of your content, much of your content on YouTube, but there was a
Appreciate it.
specific interview on that you had in 2011, and you mentioned that barbers had an ancient legacy, and this caught my attention because you said that they're on the same levels as doctor and lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
as far as licensed professionals. So
Mm-hmm.
my question is, how has your view changed, if any, if at all, on when it comes to this perspective about barbers and doctors and lawyers kind of be on the same level? Is that view still the
Um,
same?
if anything, I would qualify even more, which means unpacking even more, that I believe that dedicated barbers who are committed to overall growth of their career themselves are on the same level as doctors and lawyers because the access that you have, the experiences you have, the insight that you have, the trustworthiness that you have, like we're trusted more than doctors, right?
Mm,
Like people will tell us more than they will. People will be sick and lie to their doctors, but
for
they'll tell
sure.
us the truth about what they did, right?
Yeah,
Um,
man.
people come visit us more than the doctors. Honestly speaking, I think the only thing that we need more, better access to is additional training, because the biggest thing that took place was a separation of education or access to information that separated us from actually being, because we were doctors of some sort
Mm,
at some point in time. So once the information becomes separated, then we were limited to just the hair cutting versus bloodletting, tooth pulling, etc.
yeah,
Um, so our history is that we've always been trusted for more than just a haircut, and I believe that we currently are trusted with more than just a haircut, but we're just not doing as much invasive work as we were in the past.
for sure. Yeah. Do you think? I guess I can go back again to the price increases currently, right? Barbers now charging, making $100 a haircut, up to 120, 150 an hour. You mentioned education. Do you think there still is space within our industry to continue to grow as far as education past the normal barber license? I don't know if that makes sense.
Absolutely, no,
Yeah.
absolutely. Um, I recently took a course called coaching psychology, and it was through this platform called the Wellness Coaches. And one of the reasons why I did that was for the purpose of expanding my mind on how to not become a licensed therapist, but a step down from being a therapist, but just being
Okay.
equipped with enough information because we are trusted, because we had the access, because we already have the actual the platform to be able to have this type of intimate conversations, and we're having intimate conversations. But the more we are equipped with insight on how to really serve the needs of our loved ones, um, the better equipped we can actually be with our conversations.
Yeah.
So I don't believe that's the only form of education. That was just one that I wanted to share based off of what my own personal experience had been. And I believe that it was one of the most empowering things that I've done for my conversations because it helped me be empowered to be a better listener. And
Mm,
being a better listener allowed me to be a better asset to my clients for the times that they just need somebody to listen.
for sure.
Think
Yeah.
about it. If you have a gentleman who's, with me, serving the African American community mostly within my barbershop, we're talking about a community of individuals who don't have uh, the community encouraging you to go to therapy to help you
Mm,
overcome the traumatic experiences that you may have experienced in your past and in your present. Um, then we're encouraged to. There was a book that I read called "Cry Like a Man," and I think the author's name was Jason Wilson. One of the things he talked about was how
there we
in
go.
inner cities, men who go through a lot become callous with uh, not even having time to be able to heal after they've gone through something because they're just encouraged to get over it. Men don't cry. Like men are not supposed to have emotions or even have time to have an emotional response to something that may have happened to them. But then they're coming to the barbershop for a fresh haircut. And then you're
Yeah,
asking them a simple question of, hey, how's your week? And they're smiling, but deep down they're really hurting because after they go through their subconscious programmed responses to simple questions of, hey, how you doing? Oh man, I'm doing great. Then you see 2 seconds later their real face of that heaviness and their weight, and their body language is communicating that
for
they
sure.
yeah, a little bit going through a little bit more. So during those times, turn the chair towards the mirror. Hey man, tell me what was the highlight of the week? Tell me what you're most proud of or whatever. And the next thing you know, it leads to, if you give them space to talk and them know that you're listening, it gives opportunities for them to let that real weight off, and it minimizes the amount of uh, poor decisions that can be made in response to just dealing with different things that people tend to internalize more than anything else. So,
Yeah,
as a barber who's trusted, that has that access and opportunity, the more we're equipped with better insight on, EQ, better equipped with insight on body language and understanding the real needs of our clients. Because sometimes the clients are not coming in for a haircut; they're really coming
man.
in for an escape from their own realities.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think there was a recent post I saw by Iman Shumpert. He was saying something similar to what you just said, that really it was a therapy session for him getting his haircut, and it was a full
Yeah.
transformation. He come in
Hmm.
even emotionally feeling a certain way, and then by the end of the haircut, showing him the mirror, showing him the new version of himself was transformational, not only from a haircut perspective but from an emotional perspective. So yeah, 100% agree.
So the thing that stood out to me the most about that interview is he said that he didn't even realize it. In the moment, he didn't realize it. What
Mm,
that shared, what that confirmed for me is that, just like my own experience, we go through things in life, and we sometimes we don't know how to articulate how important it is or what it did to us. But then after some time has gone by, with him being disconnected from that experience, he
mm,
realized that something was missing. And then later, after some time has gone by, then he realized that he was getting more than just a service from that
for sure.
experience. And then he realized how big the need was for that experience. So it's important to know that people go through stuff and don't know how to language it.
Mm.
Like that's what he was saying. He was
Yeah,
I'm getting a haircut, I'm going through transformation. He's like, I didn't even realize
no clue.
what it was for me. So people are paying for stuff, not even knowing the real value is beyond just how fresh you are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even let me ask you that, like, based off of that conversation, do you think the way that barbershop is currently, right, moving away from the walk-in model, moving towards everybody doing appointment only, or at least from my perspective, right, a lot of barbershops are doing appointment only, a lot of barbers are doing suites, so they have to kind of do appointment if they're in suites. Do you think there still is space for that type of conversation, right, when we're now so structured with books and with appointments back to back? Is that your experience with your current barbershop? Like, is there space for that, I guess, more old school vibe of just coming in, having enough time to really unpack some things rather than just, an hour later, right on to my next client?
It depends on what people have structured their time to allow for. Um,
Yeah. So a little extra time
everybody's
on.
everybody structured their business differently, and one of the things I encourage people to think about is, instead of focusing on how much a service costs, think about how much you're able to earn per minute.
Mm,
And
okay.
when you're looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm hearing all the arguments of, you know, some people say charge $200 for a haircut, some people charge 40.
For
Um,
sure.
it really doesn't matter what you charge. Um, well, let me rephrase that.
Okay.
What you charge doesn't mean that determines what you make. Um, you following your supply and demand really determines what you make. Adjusting your price accordingly based on supply and demand. But if you really want to be an asset to your clients, there's a sweet spot between how much you charge and how much time you take and allow for you being able to meet all of your clients' needs. And I don't believe it should be limited to just how long it takes you to do the actual haircut. So the timing should include the haircut and then the whole service, and figuring out your specific worth for the time that you're going to allow for that particular service.
100%. Yeah,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that was a gem right there you gave for sure.
Yeah, I think that's important, because one of the things that happens, barbers now are only focusing on the technical skill, right? And some are doing a lot technical skill and marketing abilities. That's what people are focusing on.
Okay.
I think the big miss is the push for higher price haircuts because of great marketing. May have a huge miss with the delivery of what the brand is. And the reason why I believe that's where the huge miss is, because more of individuals that are leaders in that space are sitting more than they're working. Right?
Yeah.
In every market, there's a the higher the price goes, the more limited the run is for whatever said product or service is.
For sure.
Like there's more Hondas made than Rolls Royces.
100%. Yep.
But there's more customers for Hondas than there are for Rolls Royces.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And
yes,
keep in
sir.
mind, I started early on by telling you that I had a plethora of clients that were willing to pay a larger price. So based on the experience, I know that they're out there. But is that the majority? No. Is it enough? Is enough of those out there to sustain the whole entire barber community? No.
Nah, not at all. Yeah, I had the privilege to have some time at the OG Barber Conference to speak a little bit. And one of the points I was making was exactly what you're saying, is that there's so many different markets that you don't have to squeeze yourself into that high tier. I'm only charging 100 per haircut, because you're missing out on so much in the marketplace. And my analogy was, Waffle House sells steaks, Longhorn sells steaks, Roof Chris sells steaks, right? All different prices, but they're all billion-dollar companies, right? So like, you don't have to be the highest tier to make a great living. You just got to understand your marketplace. So yeah, I'm glad that you're able to echo that sentiment. Sure.
Well, while we in the minority community are arguing about what a barber should charge, I would sit here and tell you that I was taught multiple different big brands business solely for the purpose for me to educate them beyond where they are now. And all of them that I'm going to share are affluent companies that have more employees than all the barbershops combined who argue about what prices should be. Great Clips, Supercuts, Sport Clips, like those brands are not broke.
Not at all.
And they base it off of the lower price haircuts with the highest customer service. While we're talking about, hey, this is the higher price that we charge for the haircut. But I don't know what percentage of businesses are thriving at the premium price being the standard for every client.
For sure. Yeah,
that's what I don't.
You're right. You mentioned that the marketing has stepped up to kind of give that image, right, of being such a high ticket barber. So yeah, you're right. I don't know if the books actually are proving that the demand is there. So no, that's great hearing your perspective on that. All right, let me ask you another question about the present moment. All right, so presently today, Kenny Duncan, what's one piece of advice you would give to your 21-year-old self, 21-year-old Kenny Duncan, a young master barber? What advice today would you give that Kenny Duncan?
Number one would be read more books. I believe books are a window to a world that I never lived. and I believe that the more books that I've read is giving me insight to help me understand what I would have never have gotten from my upbringing. That has equipped me with better insight of better winning ways.
Mm.
Um, that was the reason why when I was on the front cover of Barber Evo, the background was all books. When I had the ability to choose whatever
Yep.
structure I would have wanted, I chose books solely for the purpose of representing the different minds that I've been able to tap into.
Mm.
I believe that has value. There's a high value to relationships. So that would be the number one thing I would share is read more books. Number
Well, now I gotta
two,
now I gotta
what?
ask you, what's the book though? Before you move on, give me one good book.
The current book that I read right now is called Great CEOs Are Lazy. One of the most impactful books that I've read was called Never Get Angry Again. Cry Like a Man was definitely a dope book that I'll encourage. E-Myth is a book that I've been advocating for years. Funny thing is, I had a conversation with Basio um, recently. There was some time period where um, there was some tension between us over misunderstanding. I wish we had a shorter time to actually communicate instead of the
Yep.
time it was. But it was beautiful once we got a chance to reconnect it, and he shared something with me that I never knew. And it was like, you were the first person that suggested this book, and a large amount of the programming that I share people that I walk people through is based off of this book.
Wow.
He's like, it's the first thing that I tell my students to do, and I got that
Wow.
from you. I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that I had that type of impact on you. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that was definitely an impactful book for not just myself, but for others that has been continuing to make an impact.
Say it one more time. What was the title of that book?
The E Myth.
The E Myth. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I read
The
it.
subtitle. Yeah, the subtitle is why small businesses fail or something like that.
Yep. Got it. Awesome. No, I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm definitely a big reader now. It's more ebook, so I start off with like Audible, and if the Audible catches my attention, I'll go ahead and buy the hard copy. But
Hmm.
yeah, definitely have the E Myth revised. That's the one I'm reading, or at least the one I have in my collection. So
Gotcha.
yeah, appreciate.
Gotcha. Sounds like you didn't get to 100% yet.
Say it again.
Did you finish it yet?
No, no, I ain't finished it. I haven't finished it.
It's a great book.
I'm gonna get to it. All right, another quick question for you. I don't want to hold you too much longer.
Hmm.
Um, Let me ask you about social media. So as the culture changes rapidly to social media influencers kind of being the new celebrities, um, how would you define today's celebrity barber? Um,
First off,
with
I don't
that,
like the phrase.
you don't like the phrase, okay?
No, only
Why
because
don't you like it?
um, a lot, including myself, a large amount of the people that are given the title um, can walk down the street and people not know them.
Hmm,
When somebody's a celebrity, a large amount of people know them.
for sure.
And like I work with a lot of celebrities, but I can still walk down the street. Some people call me a celebrity barber, but I can still walk down the street and people not know me. But I actually
Hmm,
like that. Like I don't want to be in the limelight in every given moment. There's sometimes I want to wear the hat of being the lead, of being in charge. But other times I desire to not be in the forefront.
yeah.
And,
Sure.
like some people don't really know what it really means to be a celebrity. I'll share one story that really helped me really appreciate not being a celebrity. One particular summer, I'm going to LA to cut Ben Simmons, and during the time he was dating Kendall Jenner, and
Hmm,
I got out of my ride, and there was a guy sitting in the back seat of a Honda Civic with tint, but because I just got out of my car, I can see into this car even though it had tint, and there was a guy sitting in the back seat with a camera that looked like it was a sports camera that had a lens on it that was just as long as his arm, and he's
hmm.
just sitting outside the house waiting for somebody to do something to take a picture of it. I'm like
It's crazy.
that's celebrity.
Yeah.
When somebody's that's like I don't know what I would do if somebody followed me around with cameras every single moment of my life. Do you get what
Privacy
I'm saying?
gone.
Like
Yeah, man.
it's just gone. So because I have gotten access to celebrity, it's hard for me to say that some of the barbers that I've known have earned that particular title. Now, with the exception of, there's a couple that I would actually say are just that popular to
Mm-hmm.
earn that type of title. Rob the Original
Yeah.
is somebody I would consider to be a celebrity. Like, you know, A Rod is
Mm.
somebody that and it was once A Rod moved to LA and he started doing a lot of the comical skits that propelled him to be a celebrity. Before that, people shared the titles with him of being a celebrity barber, but it was once when you start becoming known by millions that I'm okay with you're a celebrity. A large amount of people know who you are. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for
Like
sure.
anything short of that, um, I can respect notoriety, I respect skill set, etc. Celebrity,
You gonna leave?
no,
Just go ahead and
no,
kill that.
no. I mean,
Yeah, it's definitely been
it's a,
used. It's definitely been used as a way to prop up somebody's, their name in the. Once they cut one celebrity, now you know how it go. They now officially a celebrity barber. That's how it's kind of
so
been used.
here's the other thing that I learned this from Curtis Smith. He shared with me. He said, if you want to be successful, you're gonna have a hard time being successful and famous at the same time.
Mm,
Because being famous comes with a responsibility that being successful necessarily doesn't. Like you can be successful in the background because of you having time and the mental capacity and space to be able to just do what you do and do it well.
100%.
But when you got a level of fame, there's a bunch of stuff you got to live up to that takes you away from being able to work.
Mm,
So I trusted his perspective because he was Puff's barber for about 20 years, and he
sure.
was Usher's barber for about 18 years. And my biggest question to him was, how did you obtain those clients and maintain those clients for as long as you have? Because a lot of people can say they have cut certain people, but to
Yeah,
maintain relationships like that for a long time is something to like you can't dismiss that.
for sure.
You can't dismiss that. But living in a place where celebrities frequent that allows you to have access, that doesn't make you a celebrity. That just means you're in a great location where celebrities be. But when you start getting flown around the country and flown around the world, like that's when you can say you're the actual, that's your client, that's your, you're their barber.
For
You know what
sure.
I mean? Not just based off convenience. You know what I mean? I've had celebrities just came to me because of they came into Philly and I got referred to them. That don't mean I'm their guy.
Yeah, for sure. Convenient.
It's a total difference. But when
Gotcha.
somebody's saying, "Hey, I'm not getting a haircut by anybody else," I have the means to make sure that they're on that flight, they're on that private plane, they're on that helicopter, or whatever it is. When they're doing their events and their commercials, they're saying, "Hey, listen, pay
I need.
him whatever number he wants because he's the only person or she's the only person that's going to be grooming my hair." That's when you know that you are elite in that space to them, and we can plant the flag of saying that we're that person's client. I mean that they are a client to that degree. But even that doesn't make you a celebrity barber.
For sure.
You're really good at what you do, and somebody who's really good at what they do, who is a celebrity, has chosen you to be responsible for their look. You're important, but you're still not a celebrity. Like,
For sure. Yeah.
and this is coming from somebody who's top actors, top athletes, and top artists have all been groomed with my clippers. So this is not coming from a space of hate,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, from the current MVP of the NBA. I mean, yes, for the current MVP of the NBA to, award-winning actors to award-winning artists. We've all sat my chair.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For sure.
it's not from a space of hate at all.
Gotcha. Let me ask you, to that note, with your current state in the industry, um,
Mhm.
I'm just not seeing currently where you're at in Philly, or I guess outside of the Philadelphia area. But is there emphasis for you to expand your brand as far as barbershops across the country? Like everybody is familiar with your work. They
Mhm.
know you as an educator for sure, as a leader in our community. Have you thought about doing more Kenny Duncan shops around the country? And if not, why is that?
Um, I don't have time for it right now.
Gotcha.
My brand has been bigger than the barbershop. My influence on the barber industry is what I've done to help others um, expand their business, more than what they could have without having the insight and the access to information that I'm able to give and able to
For
share.
sure.
Um, so my role with the Andis Company as the North American Artistic Team Lead allows me to create content consistently for, I'm writing a monthly article for the Barber Evo magazine, creating different collections for the Andis Company to drive the education.
Yeah.
I'm responsible for, assisting with the education at different trade shows and coming up with the classes we're going to do, picking out who's going to be working at certain shows, stuff like that one. That's one responsibility that keeps me busy and active outside of my shop. Then the travel that I have to do with the high profile clients that I work with, then opportunities to work on movies and TV shows and
Yeah. Think
stuff of that nature. That takes me outside of the barbershop. And then I actually cut hair at the 76ers practice facility. So there's a lot of times where I'm not in my barbershop. So because I'm not in there and I'm actively doing other things, it doesn't give me the time to focus on just the branding of just the barbershop itself. And one of the challenges that Philadelphia has is a large amount of the barbershops are booth rental barbershops,
Mm,
and it's hard to scale booth rental barbershops in a way that's worth the time that I will want to invest into it to make sure it matches the brand of what Kenny Duncan is known for. It's hard
understood.
enough managing as many personalities. I have a 14 chair shop now, so it's like having, if I could say I had five shops, but all of them had three people in it, you
Yeah.
know, it's
Understood.
it's very similar to a degree. Um, right now, with me being on the move as much, I don't have a desire to expand that aspect. Um, my desire is to complete the multiple books that is here. Um, 33 chapters are done. It's my not being satisfied with what I've written previously because of my continual growth. That's I'm my biggest issue and why the first one isn't out yet. Um, now you asked about the visionary piece, and it's going to lead to how I'm answering this
Okay.
question here. Um, because of AI, I believe that there's going to be a decrease in value of information
Mm,
because of how people can access information now. Is right. All you got to do is help somebody formulate the right question,
yep.
and the answers can be populated accurately for anybody. Um, of course, if we don't, I think right now the biggest value is going to be somebody taking what AI put out there and making it a video,
For sure.
because it's nothing going to replace somebody saying it. We're losing we're becoming fatigued with picking up information with our eyes by reading, but our fancies are tickled by listening and watching somebody's video.
For sure. Yeah. YouTube is definitely way more popular
Yeah,
than the local Barnes and Nobles for sure.
yeah, definitely so. So
Yeah.
the future of Kenny is based off of. Um, I don't know if I even want to focus on monetizing a large amount of what's being done within the barber industry.
Okay.
I think a large amount of it is just going to be focused on other investments being ramped up, but I still feed off the energy of being able to give back um, to the younger, to give them insights and how helping them overcome some of the challenges that I've gone through with that particular purpose. But I can't do it for everybody. It's only a select few that I would
Okay.
have time to be able to do it for.
Got it. Now that makes a lot of sense. So yeah,
Yeah.
speaking of AI and in the future, what's your perspective on the industry, Kenny? Like, how do you feel about its growth over the last few years? I would say few, I guess 5 years, right? Like 5 years, social media has taken off. Barbers have become, exposure has gone crazy past post COVID. Where do you see the state of the industry, right? It's kind of a state of a union address. Where is the state of the industry right now in your eyes?
So I want to answer that twofold. Because I've been around for a long time, I've been able to see multiple different regimes.
Okay.
Um, I've seen regimes of who the popular barbers have been, who the you know who are the people that looked up to have changed over the years. There's people who started after me and who fizzled out before me.
Yeah.
So I've been around for some time to be able to watch that. I've been an educator at Andis since 2005.
Mm-hmm.
Right, longer than a lot of barbers' careers
For
that
sure.
I've known. Right,
Yeah.
and that wasn't the start of my career. That was the start of me being an educator. Um, there was a group of people um, from Philadelphia that came out with a specific style of how we do outlines. And we were aggressively teaching those things. And we were the unicorns at that time because we were using color in
Mm.
a way in which we were not following manufacturers' directions that created a trend. But when we were teaching these things, it was only the people that were at the shows that got the most of this information. And what I realized was that I was a part of a generation of people that helped influence things to be the way they are now. Um, but because it was where I was years ago, I've grown from that. So it's not necessarily my cup of tea to date.
Okay.
So what I see is the industry being behind what I was able to be involved in. Like if you look at books, there's a Solid Gold book was the yesterday's time of Instagram, right?
Yes, sir.
The way that people are using color now, I was doing that in '99,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I have documented proof
Yes,
to
sir.
actually show that one. And this is not hate; it's just a history. So when I see the current state of what people do, my position is uh, it's um it's bittersweet. I see what influence I've had because when I first started, a large amount of the industry were not being very artistic with the outlines the way they are now. I believe I helped influence that. Me and a group of people that was from Philadelphia, right? Major League Barbers was the
Oh yeah.
leaders of that particular regime, and Major League is from Philadelphia. I'm not sure if you knew that or not.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So what we did as a group was bring out what we were doing here, and now I'm seeing that take over in a lot of places, and it becomes the thing. So the barbers that we were teaching then have now become some of the new old heads, right? And they're the
Mm-hmm.
ones that looked up to, but nobody has an idea of where they got that from,
Mm.
right? And I remember having a conversation with a gentleman named Richard Payne, formerly
Man.
known as Captain Smash,
Yep.
now known as Smash the Legend. So look
Mm.
at you see how the name changed.
Yep.
I
Yep.
remember having a conversation with him, and we were talking about how this one particular time I had opportunity to work on a movie, and he was working with the artist. I called him for some advice on, hey, I need some insight on how to cut this guy's hair, da da da. And then he was reluctant at first, but he says, Kenny, I've been watching your work since MySpace. I've been coming to the Bronner Brothers show, watching you for years, this and the third. You influenced me, so it's an honor the fact that you're calling me, asking me how to do something when
For
I
sure.
modeled a lot of what I do after you. This is his words. And it hit me. I'm like, I had no clue. I didn't even remember. But I've seen it now where as though there was a season where he was like the man as Captain Smash, so much so that he's developed his own brand and
Mm.
evolves to now he's Smash the Legend.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? So when you ask me about how I see things, it's somebody who is sitting in my class is now called the Legend.
Legend.
Right, right. And then there's another regime of people coming after him, um, and it's beautiful to watch. But I also see it as there's some people were trailblazers and pioneers, and there's a trail that comes from them that leaves their fingerprint on things. And my only challenge now is I wish I wasn't so heavy on the color um, during the seasons that I was pushing it, because when I was teaching it, I wasn't teaching how to be fiscally responsible with how it's applied.
Mm.
So now it's to the point where a large amount of barbers are just throwing it into the haircutting service without monetizing it as a separate service. Where for
Mm.
me, this current state, I still do it with the best of them, but I label it as a picture perfect haircut at a premium price, and people are willing to pay for it if you structure it so. But most of my haircuts are natural haircuts, and I'm earning more than
Mm.
the average would do with color, and I'm not doing color. But
And
then I still can do the color, and I can charge a lot more when I'm doing it. So
sure.
this position, I wish that that's the word makes it bittersweet. So I see the remnants of, see the fingerprint of what we, not just me, what we were able to do and how it's pushed the culture forward. But it wasn't forward with the best fiscal information and education on how to make sure that we were better with it. So that's the thing I see now. Like, wish it was different. So then the other part about it is how there's a new trend now where people are using the nude or the white outline pencils outside of the shape up as well. I have my thoughts on it, but I can't knock it as if to say it doesn't look good. But I understand what look people are going for and trying to chase. It's something that, once again, Philadelphia has been known for. Yes,
No
but
doubt.
we just been focusing on just having the skin clean and dry,
Mm.
and we're focused on doing a dry shave with a razor around the outline that causes and creates that look. So how somebody achieves a look, I'm not going to be mad about. But I
Mm.
just want to make sure that whatever somebody's doing beyond the haircut, that we're monetizing each minute, like I talked about earlier, monetizing each minute to make sure that we're actually earning our keep for that particular time that we had that client in our chair. Somebody can do that, and I can just extend the time I have somebody in the chair with a dope conversation and probably make even more. So my encouragement now is to equip yourself with as much information, reading more books, becoming more equipped to be a better asset to the true needs of your clients. And I believe it unlocks your highest earning potential.
Sure. No, yeah, I definitely appreciate that answer. Multiple layers to the answer, so yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Okay.
it's like when you ask me when I look at it, I'm like, it's just
A few different
bittersweet.
lenses. Yeah, a few different lenses. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't want to hold you too much longer. You told me half an hour. You gave me about an hour. I appreciate your time, but I also want to open up, just some casual conversation. Is there anything you wanted to ask me? I mean, this is our first time officially having a real one-to-one conversation. So, any questions for me as a barber and a shop owner in Atlanta?
Um, I don't have any questions. I do have a statement. No one, I appreciate the fact of your vulnerability of even reaching out. I believe it takes a real man to have the desire to be vulnerable, because you have to have a sense of security within yourself to say, hey, this is something I want to do, like reaching out without even knowing me, not knowing what type of response you're going to get. There's so many people that have a fear of rejection in that space. They would not do something such as what you did as a result of fear of failure, insecurities, the fear of rejection, or whatever it may be that can cause them not to want to do something. And the fact that you actually led with that one and took the time to be well organized in how you were putting things together, it let me know that you were somebody with, I like to say, a kindred spirit, and a cut of the same cloth, and I could just identify that I have an appreciation for that type of leadership. And the reason why I'm saying leadership is because whether you're a leader of barbers or just a leader of your family, that type of leadership being modeled is beneficial in so many different capacities, and like it's just something to be honored. So I wanted to take time to say that more than anything.
Cool. No, yeah, I appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely gonna get back into that E Myth book for sure to make sure I have all the jewels that I probably missed just listening to it the first time. But yeah, again, Kenny, I appreciate this time. Thank you for this hour that you spent with me, and yeah, looking forward to meeting you in person one day, man. Hopefully soon. Where are you gonna be next? Like as far as for barbers to be able to interact with you, are there any shows that you're gonna be a part of?
Outside of a show this weekend, I'm gonna be in LA.
Okay.
So I usually try to tap in with different barbers when I go different places. But then the following week, I'll be in San Antonio for the premiere show. I'll be out there
Okay.
for some time, and then I think before that, this Monday, there's a show called the Beauty Cast Network. Then it's the premiere show in San Antonio, and then after that, there's a show that I'm doing on the 21st and 22nd in, I want to say Toronto. I forget the name
Okay.
of the show. It's with a brand called Auriac. Um, so
Haven't
those
heard
are
of
the
it.
ones, like those are the ones this month that I got to do.
Oh yeah, definitely on the road for sure. It's different now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But it's been like that for some time now, and I appreciate every minute of it because I get energized being around other individuals. So Ti said something in an interview recently that he was encouraged to reach for the stars, but in order to do that, he had to let go of the ground. So a
Mm,
lot of times I'm challenged with the ideas of letting go of the good to become that great that I continue to desire to be, or that God has planned and allowed me to be within the plan that He has. And
mm.
I'm just enjoying that particular process and looking for opportunities to, you know, be an asset to others, and then continue to be in a learning state of my life as that CEO, continue to learn and grow, and modeling that um, in front of my people.
Yeah, that comment reminds me of this book, 10x is easier than 2x, that I'm reading right now by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. What you just said, like being open enough to reach for those bigger goals, because just growing 2x, the book was kind of saying it's almost like you just have to work harder to get 2x, but to actually expand to 10x, you have to rethink, how you're approaching your day. You have to actually, restructure everything and, become brave enough to actually chase those full dreams. So yeah, thanks again for the time, Kenny. You definitely inspired me, bro,
Sir,
and I'm looking forward to connecting with you again.
my God, continue to
All
be
right.
great, man.
All right. Thank you, sir. Take care.
Appreciate it.